Oh yeah.
There we go.
Oh, kids, a lot of kids to come up.
Come on, you can come and have a look.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, look, they want more coming. Even older kids are coming along. Everybody want to come up and have a look at the muddies. You can pat them, maybe.
Soon.
Yeah, soon. Yeah.
They're $75 a kilo at the fish markets this week. That's what the fishermen are getting.
Oh, they dropped the price over 88 now.
I'm going to buy a new Mercedes fishing boat. No, as I catch them, they're $73.40 on Friday.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get. You want to have a look? Jump in.
Come on.
But don't play with them, or you'll never be able to pick your nose again.
I did.
And then, whoa. Okay, we all happy?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. We'll start.
I'm going to leave you with the loss.
Yeah, you leave me with it, and we'll kick off, and we'll do a few mud crab basics, because there's nothing simpler than catching mud crabs, mostly because you've got machinery to do it for you. You've got a beautiful waterway out here, so we start off where we're going to put them. Obviously anywhere where there's mangroves, channels, anything with a dish in it. Mud crabs, if you watch a mud crab when you let it go, always walks to the lowest point. So if you've got a bank that falls out like that and comes down like that, along that edge, that's where they'll be. If you've got a rocky wall, they'll be against the rocky wall because they like to back in, bury, and they've got cover. If there's a muddy fresh, they'll be pushed down the river. If there hasn't been any fresh water for a long time, they'll move up the river. So there's a little bit to learn about where they are and how to get at them. You've got two different types of mud crabs, male and female. The first thing you learn, the male's got the little narrow pouch underneath, and the female has the broad egg-carrying basket underneath. So they're pretty cranky customers. You can see they're all tied up. They're easy to tie up. You just go under the back legs, as you can see there. Put the string under the back legs, under the edge of the shell, through the nipper and back and tie it up across the top with two grannies. And you can control your mud crab. Once you've got it tied up, they're a lot easier to control. When they're in the trap, the mud crabs to eat, just by the by, if there's probably plenty of people here who've eaten them. The male mud crab, to our taste, to Western tastes, it's firmer, flakier, and nicer to eat. The female mud crab is much softer, even pasty sometimes, but it's very, very popular in Asian cooking. So when a commercial fisherman like myself sells the crabs, we'll get $3, $4, $5 a kilo more for female crabs than we get for male crabs. So it's just the way of the world. And of course, everybody knows in Queensland, and a lot of people in New South Wales too, think you can't keep female mud crabs. Well, in New South Wales, you can keep any mud crab so long as it's legal size. Okay, 8.5 centimetres. And that's measured across the shell. And I've deliberately bought one here. I was hoping the fisheries inspector would be here and we get the fishing inspector to measure it, because this one is right on the line. And what you do is you put your measuring gauge in the middle, between the eyes there's a V, you put it in the V, and it's not whether this goes on the crab, it's to the line of the carapace. It's the usual story with legislation. They never make it easy. It would be a lot easier if you just went whack, well that's a legal one, but no. It's the V to that line on the carapace. So the shell, the carapace line, it's from the V in the middle to that carapace line there. Just because this goes on it or doesn't go on it, doesn't make it legal. So, as I said, from a recreational point of view, they're probably not too particular, but they certainly are with the commercial fellows. That crab, by the way, just so everybody knows, that's about 8 or 9 months old from egg. So in warm water, in the tropics, they'll grow from an egg to that size, to legal size, in about 7.5 months. In the cooler water down here, about 9 to 10 months. Further south, Nowra, the Clyde, which is about the end of where they go, they'll take about 12 months. But a 1 kilo muddy A 1 kilo muddy is about 20 months old, okay? So because they have a hard shell, they can't just keep growing, they can only grow to the shell. So when that mud crab splits its shell, it releases a hormone that softens the outer shell, splits the shell and comes out the same crab but about 45 or 50% bigger than the shell they were in. And at that point they'll be soft shell. It takes about a week to harden fully. It takes another 2 to 3 weeks to fill with meat. And as they grow, you can actually measure how much meat is in a crab by placing on that middle leg, your thumb, hold it upside down, push there. If it does not bend, that mud crab is full of meat. Now, this one is particularly good crab, a really top restaurant grade crab. Where are you, Kieran? Stay away. Kieran's the world's best mud crab eater I've ever seen. And Mr. Pasco's not far behind. So you press there, and if that shell is, hey, if anyone wants to come and check it, you can. You press there, if it's nice and hard, it's a really good crab. You put the crab down like that, push the corner of the shell, and it doesn't bend, it's full of meat. So that crab is filling with meat, gets right up to tippy top, stays there for maybe 3 or 4 months, and then gets a new shell. And they keep doing that throughout their life cycle, till they either get caught by me or someone just like me, or you, or they go through their life cycle and something eats them. Plenty of things eat these. Okay. If the shell is soft, there's no meat in there, don't even waste your time, throw the crab back. Don't take it home and cook it, because all you're going to get out of the crab is water. So just collect the good ones. And for people who live here, this estuary has no shortage of mud crabs. In fact, the kid who used to be my decky on the charter boat I had, he got one 2.5 kilos the other day. He lives at Kendall. So just where Queen's Lake joins the river, or wherever it is, he got one 2.5 kilos plus 2 or 3 others. So that's the crab. So this one's a really good hard crab. You can come up and check it if you want to have a look. But that's the thing with the crabs. So they're filling with meat, staying full of meat for 3 or 4 months, splitting the shell, becoming a bigger crab, as I said, till they basically run their life. So the average sort of major, really big crabs, about 1.5 kilos is a goodie. These, if you go to waters where no one catches them, you can get bigger ones. Every now and again a real monster turns up. There was one 5 kilos caught at Port Stephens last year. There's certainly been mud crabs caught here at 3. So you can get big ones. The average, you don't, and also when you get a big fella, they're harder to cook because you've got to have a system to cook them in. As for those people who want it, I suppose I've mentioned cooking. Mud crab, if you want to kill the crab, put it in the freezer. It's a cold-blooded animal. If you put it in the freezer, it will just go to sleep. If you put it in a bucket of ice water or in an esky of ice water, it will just conk straight out. You'll see it collapse. That will kill the crab, and then you can cook it in boiling water. So you bring the water to the boil, if you're just going to boil it. You bring the pot of water to the boil, 2 large tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 of brown sugar, 1 of salt. In, let it boil, drop the crab in, the dead crab, don't cook live crabs. Drop the dead crab in and bring it back to the boil, and then 10 minutes of simmer, put it in the sink and let it cool, and then you're ready for a really good meal. So that's the basics with them. Just while we're on that age of crabs thing, we're going to do blue swimmers as well. Blue swimmers only live 2.5 years. Right? A nice big blue swimmer crab is 18 months old. So they've got a very short life cycle. And what happens with both mud crabs and blue swimmers is your estuary, or my estuary, or any estuary, gets what's called spat settlement. So every few years this area will have heaps of crabs. Another river just up there won't have any crabs much at all. But what's come in, the currents come in, the current's been loaded with spat. The little crabs have settled throughout your estuary, and as they grow, your catch increases and increases and increases, until you either catch them all or they mate and move out to sea, or there's a flood. Blue swimmer crabs are saltwater dependent. They don't like much fresh water, so when there's a fresh, you lose all your blue swimmers out to sea. That's why their name is pelagicus. I forget the thing. These ones are Silacilla serrata, which is the serrated shell crab, and blue swimmers are pelagicus, which means they swim around the ocean. So if you've got lots of blue swimmers in here, it means you haven't had rain for a while. And the easiest way to catch blue swimmers is with a witch's hat, and they'll catch all sorts of things, but these are not environmentally good things, just by the by. And DPI is looking to find ways to remove them from the system. And in fact, for commercial fishermen, when these new rules come in, we'll be phasing out witches' hats altogether. Just untangle this for some reason. The commercial fishery will be phasing out witches' hats completely, and we'll be getting 2 more traps on our trap inventory. We can have more traps. Now the reason for that is, when you trap a crab in this, the crab meshes. This is a trap, and the crab is meshed, just like this buoy is now meshed. And these fine nylon strands cut the joins, the integments that join the legs to the body and the nippers. And even if you release the crab after it's been caught in this, it will die. So these things also have a bad habit of catching turtles in some places. They do catch a lot of small sharks in places, stingrays, leather jackets, bream. I think there's any. You can catch almost anything in them because it's still a mesh net. It will still snag. It will still snag a fish right over out of there. But what I've done, that's twisted so that I can store it easily. And it doesn't tangle in the boat, even though I just tangled them. But okay, so that sits on the bottom like so. It's suspended by this buoy loosely. In the middle here, you use a zip tie, and you zip on either some fish frames or a mullet or a bit of copper wire or whatever you like, but you secure your bait to there. It sits on the bottom. The blue swimmers, you pick a spot like just out here where the sandbank drops into the deeper water. Very good always if you've got some ribbonweed, seaweed. You drop this on the edge of the ribbonweed. You obviously have a buoy. Now here we're going to this while, I might as well do it while I'm here. Under the rules you've got to have some lead to take it down so a boat can't get snagged by this. If you have the buoy and the rope running across the top to the float, you can be fined. There is a reason for that. There's a court case about 3 years ago. A $100,000 cruiser got one of these caught round its propeller at West Head. Stopped the boat went up on the rocks. And when the insurance assessors got it on the slips after they salvaged it, they got this back. And they got hold of the bloke who owned it and then sued him for the 100 grand boat. So you must comply. So you must have some lead to keep the line. You must have some lead to keep the line down. The float must be, by law, 100 mil in all directions. So i.e. round and 100 mil in every direction. Or if you're going to use a bottle or a milk bottle, it doesn't matter. That's going to comply. Yeah. Absolutely. You must have a lead weight. Within 1 metre of that bubble, you must have a lead weight. And for us, it's a $500 fine. I don't know what it is for you, but they will book you. But there has been a test case. Can't beat the lawyers and the insurance companies. But yeah, this bloke drove his cruiser over a floating line. The cruiser went up West Head, and the end result is some enforcement. On your float, you must say crab trap, CT, your initials, and your date of birth. And the reason for that date of birth is they'll check that against your licence. If you get checked, they'll check that against your licence. Okay? So, but that's the witches' hats do catch a lot. You can use pillies. You can use. I usually just use mullet. Yep. You used to. You don't have to anymore. That's why they've done this date of birth thing. So your initials, your date of birth, and CT. The rego thing. There was some incidents where people were either tracked down or there was just a privacy issue of some sort. Don't ask me. I'm not a regulator. I'm on the receiving end of it. But but for people who want to catch a feed of blue swimmers or muddies, these are pretty deadly. In daylight, they're great. Night time, you'll find stingrays and eels, tear them up. The muddies can tear these up very easily if they're in there for any length of time. check them about once every hour. You're allowed 4 of these. So that's your winch's hat. Deadly, I'm pretty sure here there's plenty of blue swimmers, so here'd be good. Where I'm from, Macleay River, we get blue swimmers every few years, not too often. Yeah?
Winch sets have been banned. Is that correct?
There's some modification you've got to do to them, yeah. Yeah, because they're catching turtles and all that sort of stuff. But I think if you just check with DPI, they'll soon tell you. So this is a commercial trap, 900. You'll see it's got heavy gal and heavy pipe. This is a heavy trap. The heavier the trap and the flatter it lays, the better it catches. If you lay a trap on a stick and it does that, and it's unbalanced, it won't catch a thing. If you lay it on a slope and it's not balanced, it won't catch anything. The minute the crab walks in there and that trap moves, they won't go in. So it's got to be flat. Okay. Now, this one comes from a company called Crab and Gear. You buy them on the net. They're about $50 a trap. They're not that cheap, but they are deadly effective and they're long lasting. If you wash this trap, you'll get 3 or 4 or 5 years out of it. You put the hose on when you come home from fishing. It's got a bait bag built in. So all you do is undo that. Put your bait in there, which can be anything. And one thing with crab bait, fresh. Don't ever listen to this rubbish that smelly bait, rotten bait is better for crabs. Forget it. Fresh bait only. So nice fresh, in mullet season, if you can buy mullet, you know, sometimes I got them 10 kilo for $10 at the co-op or the beach fisherman or whatever, or you can catch some bonito. You can put anything in there that's fish, really. And so long as it's fresh, it'll catch. So nice fish heads from the guys when they're cleaning fish from offshore, you know, they're catching kingies or, you know, a nice big dewy head or a kingy head, trag, whatever it is, fish frames, you put them in there, you zip it up, the same at the top, that's your access to your trap. Once it's closed up, the trap's ready to go. So you're going to drop that wherever you think it's reasonable. I've got a short rope on here just for demonstration purposes. These will work in anything up to 50 feet of water in the estuary, or even more. You know, up to 20 metres is no problem for these traps. These will catch both mud crabs and blue swimmers. The way we handle our crabs is we don't handle them at all. We use you know, gyprock buckets, the long gyprock buckets, and we put the gyprock bucket there and just tilt the net up. He drops into the gyprock bucket and we put the gyprock bucket down. And then as you catch your crabs, you just top your gyprock buckets up so you've got 3 or 4 high and then start another stack. The reason for that is they're hard things to handle. If you're not used to handling a muddy, a really cranky mud crab at close range is a threatening animal. And they will hurt you. I mean, I do have fishermen in my co-op who are missing fingers, right? The pick in your nose joke is not a joke, it's real. So, and the worst thing is the small mud crabs are much quicker at biting you. The great big fella like this is as slow as a wet week and you can dodge it. The little fellas, you cannot. They're very fast and they'll have a go at you. And the small female crabs are by far the worst to handle. Parents take note. The little crabs are the most dangerous. Mostly they just break, you know, they'll pinch you and break the skin. It just depends on where they get you. And the first bite is immediately followed by the second one. You go to where the pain is, and the other one's here. Gotcha. So you'll almost always get 2 bites. So I have seen, I have actually been with some people at a barbecue who were intoxicated, and they had those square traps you buy from BCF. And one of the fellas said, oh, don't worry about, you know, I'll just wade out and get it, which he waded out to here, picked the trap up, and there were 3 mud crabs in it. Picked it up, put it on his side and started walking in, which was immediately met with screams and howls and all sorts of carry on. And one had him by the hip, on the hip, and one had him on his rather ample belly. And there was blood from one end of the place to the other. I've also had one of my very famous charter boat customers, Italian guy, nice bloke, real estate agent, obviously not too smart, wanted some mud crabs one afternoon to take with his mates to dinner. I said, oh, you go down under the charter boat, there's a crab trap there, there's a couple of little ones, they're legal, take them. Same thing, he gets back to the house, there's blood everywhere. And I said, what's going on? He said, Laurie, he said, they weren't tied up. He just put his hand in the trap to get the mud crab out. So they don't, when you catch them in the trap, they won't be tied up. Okay? You have to tie them up. All we tie them up with is raffia. Just raffia is very good for it. It's cheap, you buy it, you know, you get a little roll of raffia. You can leave it in your tackle box. So if you buy a few of these, you're allowed two per person of the traps and 4 of the witches' hats. But the beauty of these is you can leave them out overnight. Mud crabs are most active at night. I will say there are people who like to steal them, or steal bits and pieces and steal the crabs. If you're doing it recreationally, I would advise, and you're going to get fair income, you go out and you put the trap in just right on dark. As the sun's going down, put the trap in. And make sure you're the first one there early in the morning when the sun's just coming up, go and get your trap. But there's just some people out there who can't help themselves. Julie and I have actually had these traps in the Hawkesbury River and had people just drive in behind us and pick the trap up, which was pretty dumb because we're in a fair sort of a boat, and we could do them a lot more damage than they could do us, but we've had people steal them as we've been setting them. So, but these things, okay, they're $50. You've got to remember that crab that I just showed you at the moment, he's $50. You get your money back in 2 crabs. So if you want to come up and have a look how they work, they're quite well-made traps. You can buy them all over the place. Gabe can probably tell you where you can you get something like this on the retail market, Gabe? You can. So retailers have something similar. The crabs will only come up and down the current. You know crabs walk sideways, don't you? He's sniffing with his feet. That's what's doing the smelling. So what Julie's saying is, and a lot of people build their own crab traps. If you build a trap with 2 nozzles, let's say just running that way, east-west, you must lay those nozzles up and down the current. If you lay them across the current, you won't catch any crabs. They won't go in. They'll hit the side of the trap, walk up it, walk over it, walk round it, and buzz off. But with these 4 gates, it's not so important. They'll find their way in. But with 2 nozzle traps, and if you're making your own square type traps, the nozzle must always lay up and down the current. And the heavier the trap, the better it'll catch. The same as these. If you can buy those with the, I think they're only 3mm thing, if you can buy the 6 or 8mm rings, they catch better than the lightweight ones. So, any more questions? The one thing on current is interesting. Mud crabs and blue swimmers are far more active on big tides. So where you've got a 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, and then it falls down to 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, you catch a lot more crabs on big tides than you do on small tides. Well, because if you watch them, they can actually use gas or air to make themselves completely neutrally buoyant, and they just float along swimming. And they cover a lot of ground. I've let one go off my jetty one day that had a red mark on him, and I caught him 3 kilometres away the very next morning in a trap. So I threw him in at tea time tonight, and at 7 o'clock the next morning he was 3 k's up the river in a trap. He was dumb as dog shit, this one. I caught him about 7 times till eventually he got enough meat on him to market him. I gave up and just put him in the market. I was so sick of catching him. Okay, what other things do we need to know? But yeah, big tides, check your tide chart, and don't forget if you set your trap at high tide, which a lot of people do, just remember sometimes at low tide, that trap will just be sitting there. Everyone can see it. Always better to set at low tide, pick them up at high tide. So, and it is legal, just by the way, it is legal to have a longer rope and to tuck the float into a mangrove tree or under the bank or under a log. It's quite legal. You can have 20 foot of rope and you can tuck the float out of sight if you wish. If you're in a small creek, something like that, you can tuck the float out of the way. It's not exactly legal, but it's legal enough. So long as you're correctly identified, the fisheries are pretty happy.
Do you have to have a white buoy or do you have colour?
No, mine is home. Mine are all black with black rope. This is done for here. All mine, and these are burnt in. I use a electric soldering iron, and I just burn it in with electric soldering iron and then paint it with black paint. It's quite legal. Yep, you can use a dark olive green, which is good in the mangroves, or black's pretty good. If you've got black rope and black buoy, it's harder for them to find. And as I said, you can tuck them. You can put 25 feet of 7 or 8 metres of rope on, and tuck this up under the bank somewhere. Look, stealing is a bit of a problem, and I've been at New South Wales DPI for some years to bring us up to scratch with Queensland. In Queensland, if you touch that float, my float, $1,000 fine. If you pull the trap up into your boat, it's another $1,000 fine. If you take that crab out of my trap and you keep it, it's another $1,000 fine. So in Queensland, they've really got into it. And they're now they've got a camera team. So wherever they're having problems, they put cameras, the wildlife cameras. So along that strip of bank, they might put 5 of these, and every one of those has got a camera on it. So if someone comes there during the middle of the night or early in the morning and pinches the trap or pinches the gear, they've got a photo of him. And I actually have seen the footage. It's quite clever that they interview this person. No, mate, no, nothing. Anyway, the guy just spins the computer around and press play. He said, well, how would you like this? How would you like people to see this in court, mate? Oh, talk about bad dog, no biscuit. And that's what happens. What's that? In Australia, in New South Wales, if you touch that trap, 500. If you pull it, 500. If you take the crab, another 500. So in Queensland, it's 1,000 a go. But in New South Wales, you still get a fine, oh yeah. You pinch somebody's trap, it's $1,000 fine.